These used to start at some of them 5:15. So if it's time, I just would like to understand the basis. Is it actually that you don't feel comfortable asking questions, or is it more of the time?
I think I stated what I wanted us to be able to have free and open discourse, and that we don't have that when we have one person in a top-down kind of model. When we're in a smaller group setting, we have the opportunity to speak a lot more. Here, it's we talk, you talk, we talk, you talk. In the old structure, you know, there might be the three of us, for example. We were able to get through a lot of different things and come up with things and say, okay, maybe that won't work or whatever, we're not going to support it, or even just have that kind of ability. So I don't know what you're getting at, but what I stated is what I mean. I'd like us to be able to have the ability to speak about and get through a lot more items and have discourse with our fellow board members in a legal environment, which is an agenda-sized meeting. So.
Tyler?
Yeah, well, I just want to add another perspective because, you know, I've seen how this operates in several different communities, and coming here, this was kind of a different model than I've seen in others. And one thing I'll tell you, especially as a newer at the time staff member, that was really difficult when an issue came up, knowing what committee it goes to. Like a perfect example is Oakland Avenue bike lanes. I could make an argument that could go to public safety. I can make an argument that goes to public works. I can make an argument that goes to community and business relations. I could even make an argument it's a strategic initiative. So for staff, the standing committee were really difficult because I think there were some trustees, and I'm just going to be frank for the sake of conversation, that really wanted that issue. And now you have multiple board members that want that issue so they can be, you know, a part of it, and that's awesome to have that participation. But if you have multiple trustees that are wanting it, one is let down because the other gets to lead that discussion. And that becomes really difficult. And I know one of the comments to try to address that is, well, just write a list of everything that should be addressed in each committee.
It's actually an ordinance.
And we have it in ordinance, but still, if you look at the ordinance language that we have, it's not going to address bike lanes on Oakland. There's no way that you can come up with all the possibilities. So I only raise this because as you think about this, if you want to go back to standing committees, I think we need a process in place that if an idea comes out, we need a process of someone or somebody that authorizes which committee that goes to, and that gets into the whole conversation again of who gets to be a part of it.
Who was it before, can I ask? Before I became president, and before, I guess, with...
So typically, well, I don't know if there's any language in the code that specifies this, but typically when Chris would sit down with the president to come up with the agenda, that's when it was done. So I wanted to say that because I want, as you a board, you know, that was very difficult for staff to try to identify. And so that's just something I would really appreciate some conversation around how that would be completed.
Thank you, Trustee Menton.
Well, I mean, the statement that you made that we all want to be involved in everything, and I don't. You know, I'm perfectly fine. I mean, it takes a lot of time to sit through discussions with all 7 of us on every single issue, and we don't. And then consequently, we don't get to a lot of issues, even issues that we all agree are important. And I think for group process, I mean, you have to accept that you're not going to be able to be in the room. I mean, there were definitely times where Trustee Rose, like I was on a committee, and she might say, hey, these are the things that are really important to me on this issue, and then I could bring those or vice versa to the committees that we were on, since we've never been on the same committee. But so I think but I mean, for me personally, I'm fine with not being involved in every single discussion and in the room on every single thing. And I think I think that's a decision we as a group have to make. You know, do we all have to be here for every decision or not? I'm okay not.
Can you do that in Cal? The reason I ask is when we were setting it up, when we were talking to each trustee, one of the ideas, I think it was you, Trustee Menta, was to put time, you know, just like a regular agenda where we go through it, but actually with the time. And if you didn't, it wasn't mandatory to show up for the Cal. So if there was an item, you know, that you wanted to attend. And then we shifted it to it was mandatory. But I do feel like we have, I mean, unless we're gonna add, I think the committee meetings are great because it allows more time. You have, they were longer. So that's why I asked the question about time. Is it more that we're not accomplishing our agenda, I get that, and I think we're in a terrific storm, as Rebecca always tells me, that we have new trustees, we have a new president, and we have a new administration, and I really feel it's beneficial in Cal that everyone is hearing things and we work it out for a year so that we feel comfortable, and we're taking a lot of time because we haven't had a lot of discussion on some of these bigger items, like board structure. So I'm hesitant to just return to committee structure. I know that's not staff's preference. I feel there is some benefit to having everyone in the room for discussions. I also understand that we're not getting through our agendas because we are taking more time. The public's showing up, they take more time, and I've made the commitment to listen to whoever's here. So it's a change, and if we go back to committees, we are committing more time. I just want to make sure everyone's okay with that, because sometimes they start at 5:15. Yes?
I hear what you're saying, but I don't completely agree with your interpretation of the events. And in fact, this memo was written by you, and you've listed the pros and cons. So this is, again,
Those are Rebecca's.
it says written and presented by President Rosette.
But just so you know, it was just taken from Rebecca's memo the first time.
Okay, so it's
Back in
not
May.
written and presented by you?
Back in May, President Rosick did write, or put together this compilation. I believe the May 21st reference was from a previous memo that I distributed to the board early on in the process. If you'll recall, we met, President Rosick and I met with each trustee individually, and we tried to come up with some options. Everyone had a different opinion, which is great. But we
Okay,
tried
then
to
I
come.
disagree with your interpretation of the, like, so you have pro, con, and, I mean, I think that, I don't agree with how this is, that this isn't accurate, especially, I mean, you're new. So you may have met with each person individually, and you haven't had the benefit, now you have of the time with all of us together. And I really strongly disagree that when we get the 7 of us together, that we have more opportunity to speak about things. I do think that there are some of us in this room that dominate the conversation. So smaller group discussion does work in a variety of settings, as we all know as educators and beyond. And that, you know, putting 7 people plus others in the same room doesn't necessarily decrease. In fact, it does increase at times the discussion time. And I love that one of the pros of the committee of the whole is that, well, I see that this is if we actually add more, but that it would keep the length of our meetings to no more than 2 hours. Yet to see that, but.
Well, I think in this last meeting, I just want to clarify, every trustee on the board has the right to adjourn, to make a motion to adjourn. And I think the last 2 meetings we've been doing pretty well, and I always ask the question, and clerk reminds me what time it is. So we're getting there. I don't know that we're fully there, but I'm new, so please bear with me. I'm trying to adjust for what the trustees have told me is their desire. So we do check in now.
But we also have the fiduciary responsibility to get through things. If we keep adjourning early just because meetings are going long, then we need to look at how the meetings are being run and why are they going long.
And we scheduled additional meetings. We adjourn, but we don't do everything, so we've scheduled those additional meetings, so.
That's a great
We're not
point.
really
That's why I
saving
asked if
time.
it's the time, and that's what I was getting at. So if, I just want to make a comment too, that in committees, I know you feel that people dominate, you can always call the question, so please feel free to, if someone's asking too many questions, if it's me.
If you're the one who's dominating and then we have to interrupt you to call the question, you know, I mean.
That's all our right to do.
Okay.
So, and if we go to committee, I just want to state, I will be there, and I'll probably ask the same questions. So I'm not trying to be flip, I'm just saying, I don't know that that's going to eliminate the time constraint that is being talked
And
about.
that sounds like a different topic.
Trustee Maher and then
Yeah,
trustee
one thing
McKay.
that I thought the committees provided opportunities for individual trustees to show leadership and participate in the topic. Like this liquor license issue, Trustee Carpenter would be the lead coordinating on the liquor license, or Public Works, Trustee Warren would be, maybe not striping, but like the Wilson Drive resurfacing and working with staff. Because right now, everything's going essentially through the president, and the individual trustees are kind of coming to the meeting.
So I've heard that, I just want to tell you, I just made the adjustment, and I did send out the email. Trustee Amenta, just getting to that point, I'm trying to adjust for everyone. Trustee Amenta is going to lead the budget discussions as the chair of the budget committee. Tomorrow I'm meeting with Trustee Carpenter, and she wants to establish, whatever comes out of tonight, talk about that at some point, rewrite the ordinance so that it's split. And then with Trustee Warren, we met yesterday on public works issues, and so I'm trying any fire discussion Trustee McCaig is now involved in. It's a new thing, but we're evolving, and I have been trying to involve the chairs of every committee. I just want to throw that out there. It doesn't mean it's the right
I just
process.
think we need to distribute out some of the tasks, so it's not just the
Right.
president
I agree.
and staff, and then reporting to the rest of the
Right,
board.
more
After
transparency
the
to
fact, or,
that fact.
Thank you. Trustee McCaig and then Warren.
I think I'd like a hybrid, because I really do like the time that we've spent in committee of the whole, and I know that I've learned a lot from it, and especially with the diversity of opinion and position that we have, I really like hearing from everybody. So I don't want to lose that, and I'm glad that we've had the opportunity to experience that. I think I was thinking in terms of, some committees have, to your point, Trustee Menta, some committees consistently have a lot of items to track and develop. And then others, less so, like strategic initiatives. And so rather than, if we had a situation, I was thinking more of that we could still keep committee of the whole from 6 to 7:30 on our meeting nights. And whatever business needed to be attended to, it would come up under that committee, and the chair of that committee would have, prior to the COW, met with staff and President Rozek, if you want to be involved, to kind of prepare, so you're kind of working through some of the things that we do in committee where, and then bring it to so that we have the sense that at least there's been some kind of free flow of discussion from different perspectives before it comes to the committee of the whole. And then we could just determine where we wanted to go from there. So like on any given night, we may need to have a public works night where it's all public works so that but the public works chair has worked with everybody, village manager, department head, president.
It leads the conversation, right? At the
Yeah.
COW.
Yeah, and then you would introduce the items for discussion and consideration, and then it would go back and come back to us 2 weeks later for consideration or whatever. And then, or we might have one night it's public safety because we have something, it's, finance because we have something, and then it's strategic initiatives because we want to launch something. But then it doesn't mean that strategic initiatives needs to meet every other, once a month if there's something long-term that you're working on. So that's how I was kind of thinking that we could still have standing committees and having chairs in place that can act as kind of a sub-team, but then bring it, to committee of whole, so we're moving it forward.
Thank you.
Can I
Trustee Menta.
just comment on that? Because I think it's an interesting idea. I like trying to come up with a hybrid. The only problem I see with it is that, like, if one of us has an issue and is just meeting with staff and the president and the village manager, then, the advantage of the committee is that 3 of us are talking about it. And so, generally we can't, not always, but, if the committee comes to consensus on it, then, it's coming into the full board with 3 of us already having discussed it and agreed on it. And I think sometimes, like on the fire station, where, we sometimes I think it got a little difficult because sometimes negotiations were proceeding and discussions were happening, and the 6 of us were not involved at all and had no idea what was going on. So, the disadvantage you have that idea is that we don't, it's just one trustee working on something and the other 6 have no, aren't being brought along. But I do, I think we need to be creative and try to think of creative ways, because
Trustee Warren.
And first off, this is an interesting discussion for me because I really don't have any kind of preference going on. So I'm just trying to listen to what you describe what it used to be like. But I do think that I like the hybrid idea presented by Trustees McKay, Trustee Amenta. I think there's something to be said for that. I think, just from my gut feeling, I think it's a little bit early to give up on an idea that's only been in effect for about 3 months now. But I also hear some of the opportunities for improvement that have been offered by other trustees talking about the past structure. So if there's some way to combine them up, I would really love to see that. I don't know what we're aiming at tonight, whether this is just an evaluation of how things are working, whether we're actually trying to move to something else, or whether we're going to say, we have this initial discussion, then after budget, we bring it back up and figure out where we want to go.
Well, can I make a suggestion? And one thing I think too, like when the strategic, I was going to say strategic initiatives, because that's the kind of thing we would talk about in SIC. And I think